You know, I think we're at a point where we now have open service, but we don't have equal service. And I think that's where we're going to be looking going forward. The benefits are denied mostly to people that are in relationships, because the military doesn't recognize these relationships. I was at a meeting in Washington with the working group, and the general that was the chief of staff turned to us and said, you know, I'm very concerned about the fact we're going to create two classes of citizens in the military. So, as a leader and a commander, that's very problematic. And he turned to me and said, would you be willing to talk with us about a workaround of the Defense of Marriage Act? And I said, well, General, is the Pope Catholic? Of course I will. And I think they really do want to try to get around DOMA, but there's also other internal regulations that define dependents and spouses that they probably could change pretty easily. And I quite frankly I'm wondering why they haven't done that yet. They wanted all this time to train the force. They wanted a 60-day waiting period, allegedly to address these issues. So maybe what we saw in regard to the chaplaincy today is the beginning of that. I'm very hopeful that they're going to do just what they said they wanted to do, which is to try to make a level playing field for everybody involved. But I think the Defense of Marriage Act is going to continue to be a problem.
So let me unpack this a little bit. So let's say you're in the service right now and you have, let's say you're married, and you're a gay or lesbian person married to a person of the same sex. Right now, that person does not get the same kind of benefits that the spouse of a person in service gets?
Correct.
Correct, because the marriage is not deemed invalid.
No ID.
Because of DOMA?
Yeah, no ID card, no commissary privileges, no PX privileges, can't go on the base, can't take the kids to the dispensary in a hospital because they can't get on the base. The list goes on. That's all denied.
Education. Some of those benefits are because of the Defense of Marriage Act. Like family health insurance is one that I think everyone pointed out. And some of them are administrative or regulatory, which the administration could, without Congress, change. And that includes, for example, family housing. So there are some things that the administration can still do that it has not yet done. But some of it is inevitably, I think, a DOMA problem. And until the courts or Congress repeal DOMA, then those problems will remain. There is another class of benefits which I think fortunately have been fixed post-repeal, and that is the class of benefits that are essentially member designated. So for example, life insurance or hospital visitation. Any service member can designate anyone to receive that benefit. And some people chose not to do so for fear that it would out them, essentially. So fortunately, post-repeal, at least that risk is no longer there.
So that's one kind of, I'm sorry, go ahead,
I was going to say, and it's not a hypothetical problem. We met a woman at a press conference on the 20th when repeal occurred, first-class petty officer in the Navy, Luz Bautista. She's 4 months pregnant. She has a partner down in San Diego, Coronado. They have a 6-year-old daughter. She was transferred to Great Lakes Naval Training Center outside of Chicago. She went into her commander and said, look, my partner, who's also in the Navy, and I should be transferred together, which straight couples would be able to do. And they said, sorry, we can't do that. Your relationship is not recognized. So here is this young woman, 4 months pregnant, going to Chicago, leaving her partner behind with this child. Now, what's she going to do when she has that baby? I mean, that's a real-world situation that we faced, this week. And this is not make-up stuff. This is really going on. When this law was repealed, all it really did was take this personnel issue from the Congress and moved it back to the military. And I maintain that, as it sits right now, the military could, through regulations, go back and bring the ban back, or don't ask, don't tell. And because we don't have any discrimination protection, that's a possibility. And we've been pushing at SLDN the president to either issue an executive order or to have Secretary Panetta change the Human Goals Charter to include sexual orientation in it, just like it does for the civilian non-uniformed employees of the Pentagon.
Which already has that non-discrimination.
That's right. And that would cure it, at least temporarily, but it wouldn't stop President Perry, or then the list goes on, to turn the clock back. I mean, that's the true danger, and that's why what happened yesterday with the Ninth Circuit is so important, in that we now have, at least until there's another reconsideration en banc, that's gone. That unconstitutional finding is now gone. So that risk still exists.